That was good. Just thank God we got some kind of other instrument to get us along through here, and we ain't got a piano player, so it helps us out a little bit. But like I said, we'll welcome everybody out tonight. I'll go ahead and apologize if you hear the kids screaming or something tonight. Just don't pay no attention to it. Might be a little painful tonight, so I might get you started up, kids. Might be a little bit of painful tonight. So, might be painful. Painful. Like pain. I don't know. Has anybody got any prayer requests tonight?
Yes, I do. I have an appointment with Dr. Rifar, my heart doctor, at 6. I have to go down, I have to be down there at 11 o'clock. He's going to do a catheterization on me. And I've had 2 stents, so I don't know if something's wrong with one of them or he has to put another one in. But he said if he found out I had to have one, they'd probably just go ahead and do it while I was down there. So I don't know, but that's Friday, I think.
Okay.
So just remember me in your prayers. I've been through it once. I've had 2 stents already, so next Friday, okay. Yeah, the 6th. The 6th.
I gotta go to the 5th. Same guy.
He's done good at 5th, the same doctor.
Remember both of
I
them.
started going with him, because he had the heart doctor. And then when I started having problems, I started to him too, so.
Might get a family discount.
What's that? Okay.
Remember Tuffy McGraw, he's supposed to have his back operated on tomorrow,
Okay.
Morgantown.
All right.
Lynn messaged me before I got to church and said that, is it Emma, Rufus's daughter?
Yes.
Called her or messaged her and said we needed to have special prayer for Rufus. He's been in the hospital since Sunday. I don't know if he's worse or she didn't give any details. Do you know anything?
The last I heard from Emma was yesterday, and I asked how Rufus was doing, and she said some better, but that's all she said.
Yeah, so we needed to have special prayer for him. Keep praying for Lainey. She's doing good. We need to pray for my sister. It's just, she's having so much, and I guess worry and everything. We just need to pray that she lets God in her life, and maybe that's why Lainey's going through all this stuff. I don't know, but she needs the Lord.
And keep remembering me. Remember me in prayer, every time. Also, I need your prayer.
Oh, can you remember Brooke too? She heard back from one doctor, and they're going to do a biopsy on her back. So it's in July sometime. They told me the date, but I don't remember the exact date. But it's in July 20th, yeah. And I got a cousin. Timmy told me to ask prayer for it's his daughter-in-law. She's got lung cancer, so I remember her. Her name's Erica.
Can you pray for Steve Langford, friend in Ohio at Mount Hopkins? I think he's doing a little bit better, but everything you pray for him.
Remember our neighbor Brooks Leg? His dad is RB Leg. He was a dentist in Clay for years. RB's wife passed away Saturday. Remember then?
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll go to prayer. And, we got a call for a special prayer, so let's pray for Rufus as we go tonight. Y'all want to join together? Come up. We'll have prayer.
We should pray for Lainey's
Yeah.
warm blooded.
I am like roast.
Now you don't hold her in. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray for your grace once again to see you, dear Lord. We thank you for the time that we're able to come together, dear Lord. I thank you for the power that's in this circle, dear Lord. I know that we can just take that little step in the faith, dear Lord. I just pray that you can just give us just a little bit more of it, dear Lord. We can just continue to grow in that faith, dear Lord. We can just keep stepping up and getting more out of it, dear Lord. You know, as we come to you tonight, the many prayer requests that we had tonight, dear Lord, you know, and the prayer list that we had here at church, dear Lord, I just pray that you could just kind of meet each one of those needs, dear Lord. You know, I just pray that it's in your will. I pray tonight, dear Lord, that we come to you, you know, they've asked us about witness, dear Lord. I just pray that you be with them, be with the family, dear Lord, that you could just touch them, dear Lord, and comfort them through these times, dear Lord. You know, that be your will, dear Lord. I pray that you do bring him back home, dear Lord. Just tell him let his family have him just as long as they can, dear Lord. And I know that there's a point that it comes that we're all appointed time to die, dear Lord. I just pray that you be with them, dear Lord, in any matters that comes, and then all these people, dear Lord, you know, as I think about that, I think about all these wives, dear Lord. I just pray that you be with that family, dear Lord. You just help them through each and everything, dear Lord. You know, they deal with that death, dear Lord. You know, you think about that and losing your mother and your wife, dear Lord. I just pray that you just touch them, help them through it. And I want to pray that you be with as Ray and Elaine has to go to the doctor, dear Lord, next week. I just pray that you be with that, dear Lord. Guide the doctor's hands. Touch them, dear Lord. Let them do the job to the best of their ability, dear Lord. That they can just be in control of it. I know that you can come in and just guide it, dear Lord. I pray that your guidance will be in, and whatever matter needs to be done, that you can just touch it, dear Lord. You know that everything goes, dear Lord. And I just pray that you be with Mike tonight as he goes to lead the service tonight, dear Lord, to teach what he has planned tonight, dear Lord. I just pray that you move him out of the way, use him tonight, dear Lord. Let him speak in the way that he needs to tonight, dear Lord. Let the ones that's here open their hearts and their minds and just receive the word, dear Lord. And I pray tonight to be with me and the kids as we go back, dear Lord. And we just have a good time, we have a good class, dear Lord. We get the message that you gave me, dear Lord, that I could show them in a way that they can understand and take something away from them, dear Lord, if I help them in their life. I just pray all this in Jesus' precious holy name. Amen.
I know you. I did. I suffer from vertigo and I'm trying not to fall over.
All right. I think Mike is getting his stuff ready, so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him go at it. Only going to be one person on that side tonight, so you can go hard over there.
Hey, I'm not Gabe.
Oh, yeah, Gabe's on that side. You're on the side and Gabe.
It's just me and you, Gabe.
One-sided. Alrighty, we'll get this all set up here. Let me see what I'm doing here.
I don't know what he's doing.
You don't know?
Lots of Legos and a blindfold.
Maybe painful.
That's gonna be painful.
Okay. Let's see here. It'll be 76. We're getting up there. We're getting a lot of slides. I'm enjoying this PowerPoint thing, learning more about it, learning how to do it. It's nice. Get into this. Yeah. Everybody did their homework.
Wow.
All right. Let me get a pen out here so we can get into this. Get him to go up there. We're going to be in Nehemiah. Chapter 1, chapter 2. I really hope you guys don't mind doing a lot of reading. The thing about it is that if you're going to study the Bible, you're going to do a lot of reading. That just, kind of goes hand in hand. And, as soon as we get this up here, I'll go through that. Yeah. I should probably come earlier and get this set up, but I was running late today. It was a long day. 76. No. Yeah, we're way, way beyond that. No, I should have said something. But.
It won't be long all night if you're waiting for me to pick up.
Yeah, we went all through that. Okay, here we go. This is the second degree of Artaxerxes. We can just call him Uncle Art if you want. And this is in 444 BC. Remember, last week we talked about the first degree of. Let me see here, and that was Artaxerxes in 457. And remember how we did the time in the 457 BC plus the 483 years brought us to, somewhere close to around 26 to 27 AD. And that's kind of commonly known as the time that Jesus was baptized. Okay, so it kind of fits with Jesus coming, the Messiah coming, Messiah Prince coming and being cut off. The Daniel chapter 9 prophecy. So, I just want to kind of remind you of that. Now we're going to this one. And let's see if I can get this one. Let me go here. I went the wrong way. Here we go. Okay, so we'll be reading in Nehemiah chapter 1 and 2. Like I said, I know this is a lot of reading, but it's very important that we do read it. And Sarah, if you want to start, just read how many you're comfortable with, if you want to.
Well, those look like some hard words, so. Might
Just-
get one verse.
Just,
Okay.
whatever.
The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah, and it came to pass in the month of Chislev in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan the palace, that Hanani, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. And it came to pass, when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. And said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments.
Hey, you see here, I just want to stop for a second. In verse 3 there, so what's going on here is that Nehemiah is asking this guy, because he's been to Jerusalem and Judea, he's asked them concerning the Jews that have gone back. And it says in verse 3 there that, they're in great distress and reproach, and the wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. And we know that in the prophecy that in Daniel 9:25, we know that the street shall be built again and the wall. So he's getting a report now that the wall and the city is just in ruin still. And remember, this is 444 BC. And this is what we're looking for. The prophecy says that the wall will be rebuilt and the street. Okay.
So this is the one where you said, is this the answer to the prophecy, or is this the?
Well, we're going to read the whole thing, because I just think it's important. Okay, so and then what does he do? Like Daniel, at the beginning of this, if we remember back, Daniel, he starts praying for his people, praying for his sin, the sin of his people, wanting to know what's going on. And then remember, Gabriel comes, and then he tells him this prophecy. So here Nehemiah is praying. So someone take up in verse 6 there.
Let thine ear hear. Nope. Let's try that again. Let thine ear now be attentive and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments which thou commandest thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if ye transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if ye turn unto me, and keep my commandments, and do them, though they were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven, yet will I gather them from thence, and will bring them into the place that I have chosen to set my name there. Now these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants, who desire to fear thy name and prosper. I pray thee, thy servant, this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer.
Okay, that's chapter 1 there. Just a couple points here. Back in verse 8 and 9, it says that, if you don't keep, I've said this several times about the Jews, in the law, it was if you do not do this and you do not do this, I'm going to curse you. But if you do this, then I'm going to bless you. And he says this throughout and throughout. And we know that they were in exile because they didn't keep the Sabbath, for the land. Let the land rest. Okay? So, but he says, if you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me and keep my commandments and do them, though some of you were cast out to the farthest parts of the heavens, yet I will gather them from there and bring them to the place which I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. Isn't that such a, just a wonderful thing that, God does for us? We turn our back on him. We run from him. I'm speaking of personal experience, and just don't do what he wants me to do. And I'm scattered. I am, whatever, on my own whim, on doing the things that I want to do and not the things of God. But we have that faithfulness and that assurance that God's going, to accept us again if we return to him.
He's very graceful.
Yeah.
His grace is amazing. Even it says that the kindness of the Lord leads to repentance. I feel like it's those times that we feel like that we deserve God's wrath and his punishment and all that, and then God is like kind to us. That makes me want to be different, to change.
Yeah. And his grace and his mercy. I just don't think those are things that we can really understand. It's so huge, that we just can't comprehend it, but we love it. You know, we love the grace and the mercy. You know, I do, because I need it, you know. But, yeah, so, and here's the thing. Nehemiah, you know, he hears something. There's an issue, and he goes right to prayer. You know, we heard issues tonight, and what did we do? We come up here, we got in a circle, and we went right to prayer. You know, these things don't change. You know, this is an example for us. This is what we do. This is what we pass on to those kids. Adam back here teaching them right now, and I guarantee you he's teaching them what's right, you know, to do these things. You know, what's that?
Try to do his commandments the best we know how, and he'll bless us.
Yeah. Yeah, it says it right here. He says, if you do it I tell you to do, I'm going to bless you. And he says that throughout the law, you know. And we think about that. We think about, because he mentioned Moses in here several times, you know, we think about getting the law, and we just think about laws and judgments. But it's littered full of grace and mercy, because he says this almost all the time, you know. If you break the law, I'm going to curse you. If you do what I say, I'm going to bless you.
Yeah.
All the time. He says that all the time. You know.
Because me and Lord need to break.
No, I assume that, but that's fine. That's fine. No, hey. Hey, that is so important to the growth of the church, that everybody can step in and do certain things, you know, do different things. You know, that's awesome.
I need to sit out here and let him do it.
Yeah, no, great.
And everyone can probably step up and do it, but it's so nice that somebody else is doing it, because I have kids all the, I'm doing summer school.
I was going to say, you teach all the time, so it's like,
So it's nice
you know.
We had a wall bad, we went in and fixed it.
That's right, yeah. And we prayed about it. We prayed about it, and it got fixed, you know. We wanted this to happen. We wanted, you know, things to happen in the church, and we prayed about it, and it happened. So we can take that example, you know, of letting God just lead the way, and we pray about it, and he just opens the doors for us. I mean, I think we can see how many doors he's opened at this church.
Like, we literally prayed for people that enjoyed music and could, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a whole pew.
I mean, how blessed are we? I mean, you go to some churches, and all the music is laid on one person, and that's so hard, you know. But when you have a lot of people that can sing and play, and you know, and contribute and live, you know, it's an awesome thing. So, all right, you know, I didn't mean to get off on the thing there, but you know, I just think it's important. I really think it's important. There's an issue, and we go to prayer. And this is from Genesis to Revelation. You know, that's the model that we should use. All right, chapter 2. Huh?
Bubby was trying to talk.
Oh, Bubby, I'm sorry. What'd you say? Did you say something?
The main thing is that we pray about first,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, because if we try to, you know, take action, we don't, you know, sometimes we don't understand the complete situation, you know, that God understands. So we put it in His hands and let Him take, you know, lead us in those directions. You know, so. But, you know, just getting to the end here, Nehemiah was kind of like David was to King Nebuchadnezzar. You know, he was one of his wise men, one of his, you know, scholars, you know. And then it says here that he was, you know, he's also the king's cupbearer. Okay, so he held the cup for the king with the wine in it. So, chapter 2, if we want to go ahead and read this. If
And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him, and I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, Why is this countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid. And I said unto the king, Let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my fathers, sepulchres, lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, For what doth thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven. And I said unto the king, If it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, and that I may build it. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, For how long shall thy journey be? And when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. And moreover, I said unto the king, If it please the king, let letters be given to me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over until I come to Judah.
Okay. Just the last one there. I'll finish that one at 8, and that there's kind of a break there. And a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he must give me timber to make beams for the gates of the citadel, which pertains to the temple, for the city wall, and for the house that I will occupy. And the king granted them to me according to the good hand of my God upon me. Okay, so what's going on here?
He was the king to ask about rebuilding.
Okay, so they're having some kind of ceremony, whatever it may be. Like I said, he's the cupbearer. Okay, and the king sees him, and he sees that his face is sorrowful, and then he questions him about that, and as we know, who was it? Esther. There were certain times that Esther could go, that the king's wives could go and see the king, and certain times they couldn't. Okay, well, in that story, there was a decree that they were going to kill, all the Jewish people. Okay, and this actually Esther is set in this time period. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what the date is, but it's around this time period, and she went in. And she basically said, if I live, I live. If I die, I die. Because you were only supposed to do certain things. This is kind of what this is, and I'm sure Nehemiah was terrified for his life, because the first thing he says, "May the king live forever," and then since he prayed, God gave him the words to say, and then he starts, telling him what's going on. It says right here, why should my face not be sad when the city, the place of my father's tombs, lies waste and its gates are burned with fire? Okay, remember the last 2 degrees? They went back and they rebuilt the temple. They beautified the temple. Okay? Yes, they may have done some work to the city, but this decree is pointing kind of towards what we're talking about in Daniel. Okay, so he's saying that he wants letters so that he can go to these regions without being, killed or anything like that he may pass through. And he's also saying that he wants letters so that he can have timbers from the king's forest. So he can have timber to rebuild the gates of the citadel, which pertains to the temple, for the city wall, and for the house that he's going to occupy. So if somebody wants to pick up in 9 there.
He had to have letters to go through that country, didn't he?
Yeah.
That they would let him go through to where he get them timbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like what used to be like with the Berlin Wall. You had to have paperwork to show who you were and where you were going and what was going on, to where you could pass through from east to west Berlin. So if somebody wants to read there in 9.
Then I went to the governors in the region beyond the river and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. When Sanballat, the Horonite, and Tobiah, the Ammonite official, heard of it, they were deeply disturbed that a man had come to seek the well-being of the children of Israel. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Then I arose in the night, and I and a few men with me, I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem, nor was there any animal with me except the one which I rode. And I went out by night through the valley gate to the serpent well and the refuse gate, and viewed the wall of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and its gates were burned with fire. Then I went on to the fountain gate and to the king's pool, and there was no room for the animal under me to pass. So I went up in the night by the valley and viewed the wall. And then I turned back and entered by the valley gate, and so returned. And the officials did not know where I had gone or what I had done. I had not yet told the Jews, the priests, and the notables, the official, or the others who did the work. And then I said to them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies in waste, and its gates are burned with fire? Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reproach. And I told them of the hand of my God which had been upon me, and also of the king's words that he had spoken to me. Do you want me to keep going?
No, that's fine. Okay, so there in verse 9, so he goes and he's traveling there, and the king gives him an entourage of captains and of the army and the horsemen to protect him as he goes through there. And we see these guys, this Sanballat and this other Tobian. We see that they're hearing about this. These are the other countries that are around there. They're hearing about this, and they're not liking this. They don't want anyone to go to Jerusalem, you know. So as they're there, he was there for 3 days, and then he arose in the night, and he took a donkey, and he starts going around and surveying the city. And what does he say?
Walls are in ruins, the gates burned.
Yeah. You know, and he goes to the king's pool, and there was no room for the animal that was under me to pass. You know, so like I said, the last 2 decrees where they come, they rebuilt the temple. It doesn't seem like they worked on the city that much. You know, so you go down to 17 there, and it says, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and its gates are burned with fire. He's telling his heart now. He says, come and let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reproach. All right. And in 18 he says, I told them of the hand of my God, which had been good upon me, and also of the king's words that had spoken to me. So they said, let's rise up and build. Then they set their hands to do this good work. So I don't think we need to read this last thing. Only if we did, I want you to see that the last part of Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. Remember when it said that these things were going to be done even in troublesome times. Okay, so there's people opposing this. And I really... I want you, if you get a chance sometime, read all of Nehemiah. It is a great story of how they rebuilt the walls and just rebuilt the city, And at one point, they have tools in one hand and a sword in the other because the enemy is lurking all around, So it's a really, really great story. If you get a chance, read it.
I think this is the story about how he talks about standing in the gap. And there's one part in the story, and it's kind of a reference to how he was standing in the gap for his people. And I think even Adam had referenced that at one point about standing in the gap.
Yeah, it could be, because it was very, very important for them to rebuild the wall. And actually, as you go on here, they actually did it very quickly. 52 days, they rebuilt the wall and closed it up so there were no holes in it, so anyone could pass through. So, getting finally back to the slides here, does this decree fulfill the chapter 9:25 prophecy? Let's go back to Daniel, chapter 9:25 prophecy here. And it says, "Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times." So what do we think?
Well, it's being built again. And it's troublesome times, so I don't see why.
Okay, so is the street going to be built again? From what we're reading in Nehemiah.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Did it say the street?
Well, I mean, the city.
Oh, well,
The city. I mean, the street, the city,
Okay,
It says to restore and build Jerusalem.
okay.
Okay, so, and as we could see, Nehemiah traveled around. He couldn't get, all the way around, because things were burnt down and tore down. Okay, is the wall going to be rebuilt again? Yeah, definitely. And what had God put into the heart of Nehemiah?
You had to have it to keep the enemies out, didn't it?
Yes, they definitely did. Yeah, every city, and we even learned from Jericho to, all of them. They had, they like a fort. They had a wall. Babylon had a wall. So, but what had God put into the heart of Nehemiah?
To restore the city.
Yeah. Yeah, that was his heart's desire. His people were in anguish. He was upset about it. And,
They were in exile, and all this terrible thing that happened to what God had given them, and he wanted to restore it.
yeah. So they said, "Let us rise up and build." And they set their hands to do this good work. Okay. Let me get to the next one here. Okay, so can we agree that this is the actual decree, to command to restore and build Jerusalem, as it is in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26?
I mean, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, does anyone have a problem with that? Or, I mean, I think it's pretty cut and dry. Like I said, we read the other commands. They were more about rebuilding the temple, beautifying the temple. Remember I said about, the Jews must have the temple. Their life cannot go on without the temple. Everything, was centered around the temple. So, if the answer is yes, which I believe it is, we have one big problem, okay? And I hope this doesn't get too confusing. But remember, we did the math for the other one, and it was 457 BC, and you take 483 years, that's the 7 weeks, the 62 weeks, which is 69 weeks of years.
You might want to tell Sarah, because she wasn't in on this, about how the weeks are years.
Okay.
Did you?
It's okay. It's
Well-
the only week I'm gonna be out here, so don't.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, you're okay.
you can watch it online. It's online.
Well, I mean, it's just, when he says weeks, it really means years.
Yeah, well, yeah, it 69 weeks of years is what it is, which is 7 times 69, and 7 times 69 is 483 years. There's 70 years altogether, which are 490 years, okay, from this command to the end. when Jesus comes back, till the end of it all. And then, but this time period is 7 years and 62 weeks, or 7 weeks and 62 weeks, which are 69 weeks of years, which equal 69 times 7 is 483 years. Okay, so we got 7, we got 62, and then we have 1 week left. Okay, so hopefully, it is a little bit confusing, but I hope,
Well, when you had that, when you had the screen or the picture up there, it was a little more.
Yeah. Right. So, yes, if the answer is yes, then we have a big problem. Okay. And like I was saying, we went back to the second decree, and it was 457 BC. That brought us to 2627 AD, and it's commonly known and believed that was the time that Jesus got baptized by John the Baptist. Okay. So, and remember what I said about these dates, okay? They're, you got to give and take a little bit. And when I was doing studies on calendars, my goodness, we have really butchered our calendars. So if you do any intense study on calendars, yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, let's get on with this. It's math time again. All right, so Artaxerxes, Uncle Art here, decree 444 BC. 7 weeks plus 62 weeks equals 69 weeks, which equals 483 years, what I just explained to you, okay? So these are weeks of years is the correct term, I guess. Okay, which brings us to, remember, if you do the math on the calculator, there's no year 0. So it just goes 1 BC, 1 AD. Okay, so it's kind of funny that way, because we come to 38 AD. All right. So I don't know why it's like that, but 38 AD. And I don't know why it did that, but anyhow. Can anyone think of any prophesied event that fulfills Daniel chapter 9:26 that happened in 38 AD? Remember, the prophecy is until Messiah comes. These things will happen. This command will go out. This time period will happen. This 7 years, this 7 weeks, and this 26 weeks, and then or 62 weeks. You're getting me confused. 7 weeks and 62 weeks, and then Messiah will come. Can anyone think of anything that happened in 38 AD? Huh. Well, I'm just thinking,
I'm assuming it's probably when Jesus came.
Is it when the seals were opened?
No.
No?
All right. Here, I'll give you this. Just keep thinking.
I've got the cheat sheet here, but that
I know.
wouldn't be around the time that
No.
Paul was.
What's that,
That wouldn't be around the time Paul got switched from Saul to Paul. would it?
Paul? I'm not sure. I don't know that date. I don't know if the Bible indicates that. But here, I'll give you the answer. The answer is no. Okay, remember I said if this was the decree, we have a big problem. Okay, because the math doesn't work out. Okay. Jesus was crucified, buried, and rose from the grave on the third day. By 38 AD, Jesus had already ascended to the Father, and his earthly ministry was over. But this must be the decree. Like I said earlier, we have really torn up our calendars, okay? And, like I said, the dates are a little iffy on things. But how could it not be? I mean, like I said, we all agree that this is the decree. But like I said, the math just doesn't work out. So how can we solve this mystery? Because it surely seems to me that this is pointing to this decree by Artaxerxes in 440 BC. Okay, so did everybody get that, or did you want me to go back? I seen you guys writing. I didn't know if you want to go back. Sure, not a problem. Go ahead. Just tell me when you're done.
Well, if the calendars aren't right, then there's probably something wrong with the number.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there.
It's pretty cool though that it's prophesied that we know the exact time
Yeah.
Jesus comes.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, God has the exact time. We don't, because everyone's keeping history, and you get a little bit of here and a little bit there, and we think we know the exact date. I'm sure the day. What is today's date? The June 28th. That's probably not even the day. I mean, that originally started out, because it just, like I said, once I got to studying these calendars, and it was pretty crazy. Got it? Alrighty. Okay, so let's look at the numbers because God loves to use them. And consider this question. Do ancient calendars have the same number of days our current calendar has?
No.
Good. Very good. We use a Gregorian calendar. This is a solar dating system. I hope this doesn't get confusing. I tried to simplify it as much as I could, because it's super confusing to me, But, I understand the gist of it, though. There's also a Julian calendar from Julius Caesar. And if you want to read about that, that's a funny read because they take days out, they take months out, they hold back 30 days, they add 15 days, they do this. It is crazy what they have done. But we use this. It's a solar dating system. It goes off the sun. Okay? So using it, we have 365.24 days plus leap years. Every 4 years we have a leap year. So we have to add a day. Okay? And yet you would understand that because if you went that's not even correct, because if you do 4 .25s, you get 1. Okay? 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, and 0.25 equal 1 day. In February, every 4 years, you have to add a day. But it's still not even correct because it's 0.24. Okay, so you're lacking just a little bit. Like I said, and I hope you understand that. It's really kind of confusing. So, yeah. So, I mean, if you ever wondered why we have leap years, this is why, because we use the solar calendar. Actually a year is like, so many days, so many hours, so many seconds, that it takes the earth to go around the sun. Okay? So if you want to study all that stuff, good luck. Go right ahead. But let's do this. Does the Bible tell us how many days are in a year? Always go back to here. This has got all the answers. Huh? Are you on the edge of your seat? Sorry. No, I'm gonna give it to you. Let's go to Genesis. Hey, we're in the beginning. Let's go to Genesis, chapter 7, verse 11 and 12. All right. So we're talking about the flood here. Like I said, Genesis 7, 11, and 12, if somebody would want to read that.
In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay. So, in the second month, that would be our March, the 17th day of the month. And then let's go to Genesis 8, 3 and 4. And if somebody would want to read that.
And the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat.
Okay, so here we have 150 days. And it says that in the 7th month on the 17th day. So how many months is that?
150 days.
So how many months from the second month to the 7th month? How many months?
5.
5 months. There you go.
It's 150 days.
All right.
5 months is 150 days.
So the time period from the 17th day of the second month and the 17th day of the 7th month, a period of exactly 5 months, is 150 days. So from that, we can determine, the 30-day months. So a biblical month has 30 days and a biblical year has 360 days. All right? So, math time again. So in Genesis, 5 months equals 150 days. We take 5 times 30, we get 150 days. Okay? So those 5 months are 30 days each. Okay? So there's one place right there. All right. So where else in the Bible can we confirm this 360-day year? Well, let's go to Revelation. Revelation 11, 1 through 6. Everybody get that? Everybody understand that? I mean, it's kind of something you have to think about a little bit, but that's the way it was in Genesis, I mean, could one of the months have so many days, and could another month have less days? Possibly, but it's kind of convincing that these are 30-day months. So Revelation 11, 1 through 6.
Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood, saying, "Rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,262 days, or 60 days, clothed in sackcloth." How is it? These are 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands standing before the God of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut heaven so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy, and they have power over waters to turn them to blood and to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. You want me to keep reading?
No, just 1 through 6. That's fine. Yeah, I wanted to get that last part there for another reason. But here we are, we're talking about 42 months. Okay? And as you can see here, these kind of parallel, verse 2 and verse 3 kind of parallel each other. And I think it's we can kind of figure out that the 42 months is 1,260 days. Okay? And we see this in other things too in, let's see here, chapter 12. If you look at verse 6 there, it says, "Then the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared by God that they would feed her there for 1,260 days." Okay? You'll see this many times. It's also mentioned in Daniel 12. Okay? And then there's 30 days added on. We'll get to that all later. But 42 months equals 1,260 days. 30 days times 42 months equals 1,260 days. All right? So
So my Bible says 60 days. What's that mean?
60 days. So that'd be 60.
Yeah, a score is 20.
Yeah, score's 20.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we'll say, like at the end of Daniel chapter 5, where it says about when King Cyrus takes command, and he took command when he was 62. So that means he was 62. Yeah, so, all right. So we, the Bible kind of confirms 30-day months, I think it's a reasonable assumption, but here's a little hint right down here. If you read James 5:17. Now, the passage that we just read is the 2 witnesses, okay, in Revelation. James 5:17. If someone wants to read it there.
Elias was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months.
Okay, 3 years and 6 months, and it was
Elias.
Elijah. Yeah, it was Elijah. So that could be a hint to who one of these witnesses may be. So I thought that was interesting. 3.5 years, and we see this many, many times in these prophecies. Okay, 3.5 years, or it'll say time, times, and half a time. Okay, so if we give a numerical number to time, what number would we give? 1. Okay, times would be 2. Okay, and if we add those together, that's 3, and half a time is what? 0.5. So 3.5 years. Okay, so when you see in your Bible and it says time, times, and half a time, that's 3.5 years. It's 42 months. That's 1,260 days. So it all kind of lines up. We can, I think, reasonably, understand that the Bible has a 360 year, a day year. So.
It's cool how the Bible is like an illustrator. Like you have to look for things
and that's it. You know, you got to get in it and you got to look for it. And like I said, once you go through and you read your Bible again, you're going to see these numbers, you're going to see these months, you're going to see these days, and you're going to say, oh, okay, I understand that.
So even though you've been reading the Bible for 20 years, you still may not have known all of it.
That's exactly right. Just a couple more slides here, and then we'll call it a night. All right, let me get this thing to go. A biblical month has 30 days, and a biblical year has 360 days. I think we can agree with that. Okay, so what does this new information mean?
We have to calculate from 444 differently, and it wouldn't be 38 or 30.
Yes, so we gotta do some calculations, all right? Let's see here. Well, you all know what time it is again. Anyone? That's the old Ben Stein from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I know nobody will probably get that, but maybe a couple of them. Anyone?
Oh, Ray probably knows.
Anyone? Remember that, Ray? You remember that? Something voodoo, economic, yeah. Okay, all right.
He does this to me all the time.
All right. Okay, so math time. 7 weeks plus 62 weeks a year equals 483 years. Ancient biblical calendar has 360-day years. So 483 years times 360 days brings us to 173,880 days. All right. Everybody get that?
Once he gave the command from 444, what does that bring?
Okay. So hang on one second here. We'll get to it. Okay, so let's look at Nehemiah. Let's just hang on. You're so impatient. Look at Nehemiah again. Okay. All right. So it came to pass in the month of Nisan, not Toyota, but Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes. There's no day of the month specified. So according to Jewish custom, the date is understood as the first day of the month, which is Nisan 1st, 444 BC. I hope you understand that. Like I said, these dates are a little, but it's close. When we get to the end of it, you're going to be, okay, yeah, this is close. I think I understand this. Which is, if we superimpose this time period, this is on our calendar that we use right now, which is March 5th, 444 BC is on our calendar. Okay? So, if we agree that this is the command, and we agree that the 30-day months, we can come to this date, March 5th, 444 BC. Okay? So now the countdown begins. It's the month of Nisan. Like I said, not Toyota. In 444 BC, that's March 5th. Okay. All right, so Daniel's prophecy until Messiah the Prince. Daniel's prophecy, and it's very important that you remember, it says Messiah the Prince. And you're going to understand that as we go on here. Daniel's prophecy of 538 BC, this is chapter 9, Artaxerxes' command, March 5th, 444 BC. You add the 173,880 days, you come to March 30th, 33 AD, Messiah the Prince. Okay? What happened March 30th, 33 AD? Until Messiah the Prince.
Now, is this when he was born, or when he...
Let's go back to Daniel chapter 9 real quick. All right. 26, which we'll be moving on to. And remember, let me go back one. Oh, yeah, I can't. Don't worry about that. But it says, chapter 9, 26, there it says, and after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. He was cut off. Do you understand what that means? We were talking about the law. We were talking about Moses. In the law, if you did something against the law, they would cut you off from the people or cut you off from the land. Okay? And literally what it is it is a legal judgment against you, and it is a death sentence. So you are cut off. You are removed. Okay? So what happened March 30th, 33 AD? Messiah will be cut off. The cross. Yeah. And actually, it's the beginning of the week of the Passion. Okay? And that's what we'll get into next week. And when you see this, once you read the text that we're going to read, you're going to, because it floored me. And it's very sad. It is a very, very sad text, and I didn't understand it completely when I read it, but now that I know all these things, it so much more meaning to it, So we'll end with that, and we'll take off in Daniel chapter 9, 26 there. Plus, I'm going to have a little more to explain on this right here. Okay? So, if you want to search this out, go right ahead. Search out the Bible for answers on this. Look at some commentaries, look at some stuff. Look up March 30th, 33 AD. See what Google says. Look in the Bible. So, alrighty, that's all I have. Adam? Sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to take you too long. I know you got to work.
I can get kids back here.
I just wanted to get to that point, so I always try to find a good stopping point. So,
I'm sure it was good night. All the kids had a good time. They done a little bit of Lego firewalk back there, so.
Oh,
Yeah. We put us a firewalk together back there. We had a good lesson though. We learned about, we probably know how to talk to Jesus, right, Dad?
Yeah.
So we do know how to pray and talk to Jesus. Probably helped out a little bit with that, and might have been a lesson on anxiety, I guess you would actually say that. We tried to deal with Jesus, so it was we had a good time back here though. Thank God He gives us some kids to take back and show it to. But if not, we'll see everybody Sunday morning. 10. Yeah, invite somebody out.
Mike
Bring
and
them
I'll
back.
be on again, sorry.
What is it?
Mike and I'll be in Ohio again.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We miss you guys.
I will miss you all. So. Well, kids, you ready to take us in? All right. Praise the Lord! Praise the Lord!